Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the eighth and final session of our Title IX Land Use Code Zoom series. Just focused on the Title IX updates we're working on. And this was created to provide space for conversations and dialogue to continue on after our July 14th community meeting with city staff and commission members. There has been a lot of really good conversations that have taken place. Thank you for taking the time out of your days to join us live and share your concerns, your viewpoints, learn new things, get a better understanding of the code. This work is complex and naturally there's a lot of big feelings, both in agreement and disagreement on the topic. And we can all agree, though, wherever your feelings are, that every single one of us who's participating in this absolutely cares about Yachats. And I think that that's important to remember. We're all investing our time in Yachats, whether you're showing up to speak how you feel about the work we're doing, or if we're on the side of city staff or planning commission, council, and our residents. I think every single resident absolutely cares about Yachats, and that's really something that's unique and does speak to our community character, which is kind of our main topic of today. Also, being our last session, I think there's a lot of things that will open the conversation touching on. I know that one of the things that I'd like to take away from this is that we all go forward from today. We're doing understanding that we all care about Yachats and that we treat each other with respect, and we can agree or disagree respectfully throughout the process. And this is very much is a process that has been going on for many years, but we're still very much in work with. I've mentioned this several times that that we have been working on this for very many years, 2020, 22, sorry, so many twos. And there have been many engagement opportunities for the community, and there continue to be these dialogue sessions. These Zoom sessions are also those. They're community engagement opportunities. The section of work we're on right now is the third and final leg of the three-part series of work we've done with Cascadia Partners on the Housing Code, Title IX, and Land Use Zone Code. And it started with the housing needs analysis. It went into the implementation plan. So the housing needs analysis showed us what we have and what we need, what we have a lot of, what we're deficit in. And then the implementation plan was the second leg of the project with Cascadia Partners, and that gave us a menu of items to see how we can look at addressing the deficit in middle housing that was found in the housing needs analysis. And now we are in the third section of work, and this is the place where the rubber hits the ground. It's the code creation, and it's still very much part of the process. The commission has just finished this month a line-by-line review so they could ensure a better understanding of the product that was provided to them by the consultants that's been in their hands, the code version we have now, a draft. So next up for them is further discussion on the code pieces that were highlighted when they went through it line by line. And many of the highlighted items are from the list of optional code amendments. And I believe that's where that next piece of the conversation will start, is going through just the list of optional items and seeing if each member would like to continue conversations on each of the optional things that have been provided to us. So I think that our next meeting will be kind of the meeting that I feel like a lot of people think we maybe already have had or should have had, but it was, I say again, it's all been part of the process, and here we go. The next conversation will lead us to the next version of the draft. What edits we send to Cascadia Partners to see what we're looking at for the next version of our proposed codes. One other thing that I want to highlight is something that continues to be asked, and that's the why are we doing this? And Neil, do you want to bring up that page from the housing needs analysis? And I know Craig referred to this during the last session we had, the do nothing session. Is asked, was asked, why are we doing this? We have 1,000 residents. We don't have 2,500 residents. This isn't necessary. Why are we doing this? And the why comes from this housing needs analysis. And Neil, do you want to highlight what we're seeing there?
So, yeah, we can see on here that we have a surplus availability for single family homes, whereas for townhomes and plexes, we have a deficit of 23 units, and for multifamily homes, we have a deficit of 4 units, and that's over the next 20 years. That's what we don't have the availability to build in town here.
So that's where the why came from, and that's where the housing implementation menu of items came from, and that's how we got our list of optional items, because those middle housing options were identified as a deficit moving forward in the next 20 years of housing needs. And kind of along that line, something that was brought up that I want to address is the concepts on conversations and how this has been talked about with like affordable housing, workforce housing, alongside middle income housing, property use flexibility. And while it was suggested recently that these are just various ways to describe our objectives, I firmly believe that every single one of these definitions and ways of describing this work remains a vital part of our ongoing dialogue. Each and every one of those is part of the why, and it is not just a buzzword. It is what we're doing, and it's why we're doing it. And no, we cannot guarantee what somebody's rent will be set at. But what we can look at is the fundamental truth that smaller living spaces, specifically, you get that with ADUs and middle housing options, they do provide a naturally more attainable price point than a traditional single family dwelling. And that's the approach we took with this, is to look at the constraints we're looking at. We have plenty of single family dwellings, but we know single family dwellings are more expensive and less attainable to the middle to income to even lower income family or household brackets. So it's a critical gap that we're looking to fill by allowing for buildings of smaller footprints. And those are some of the things that I really wanted to kind of bring into the last meeting. I don't want to take the whole time talking, but I do want to also pass it to our city planner and our planning commission members that have joined, and they've been participating along the Zoom sessions. And I want to see if any of them have anything that they'd like to kind of add in before we jump into discussing community character today. Something that from any of their sessions or things that they've heard that they'd like to kind of leave as a closing note while we have this dialogue opportunity with our residents. Go for it, Catherine.
I was going to jump in because I thought you were frozen there. One of the things I've been hearing a lot, people just asking where can we get information, where can we get, consistent and reliable information. I want to stress this is just sort of beginning of an attempt to help people really grasp what it is that we're discussing. The city website right now um, has Neil's done a really nice job of putting up a lot of the documents that we continue to reference, either the final deliverable from each phase of Cascadia Partners work, some other things like that. We'll continue to update that. People are always free, or my offer still stands to meet with individuals with small groups. I've met with a couple of neighborhood groups who have concerns that are specific to their neighborhood. So please feel free to reach out if there's something that you feel like we're missing in terms of making that information available. Let us know. I feel like this Zoom series it's not something I'm aware that the city's ever tried before. Um, it's definitely been good in some ways, but we still haven't heard from a whole lot of voices of the 20 plus people on the call. I don't know how many people leave at the end of the day thinking, I wish I understood this better. So if we missed the mark or if there's something else we can do, just let us know.
Thank you, Catherine. Mary, Craig, I see you guys are on here. Steve, Planning Commission members that want to jump in and provide a closing note.
Bobby, I'll make a quick comment. Um, After doing quite a bit of research, and I've got a lot more to do about ADUs and other communities in Oregon, and now I'm shifting to California as well, coastal communities in California. Um, I've been thinking through the process, and I read again through the comprehensive plan this morning. Goal J in the comprehensive plan talks about housing, and everybody can take a look at that. It's pretty straightforward. Pretty much says that we need to provide for housing that is affordable. And I think we all get kind of hung up in buzzwords. Middle housing has gotten kind of confused with middle income. Your point about smaller footprints makes sense. We have a shortage of what I call market rate monthly rental housing. We've got 125 lodging units, but we have only a handful of monthly rentals for people to rent. And so that's part of what we're trying to address here on a very small scale. That's all I've got for now.
Yeah, Mary, you go first.
Um, my husband and I came here 38 years ago, and we honeymooned at the Shamrock Lodgettes. Um, there was a gas station here. There was two kind of interesting bars. One was Lester's, and the other one was sitting there, and we called it the Skid Mark, but it was actually called the Landmark. And if you're looking at things and you're looking at changes, I mean, a long time ago, there used to be a school here for an elementary school for children. Change happens. It really does. And if we look at change, we can look ahead and say, I don't know exactly what the future is going to hold, but it certainly is helpful if we start looking at that and anticipating some of the needs that we have. And one of them is housing. And we need to have more children here. We need to have more young people here. We need to have that for a viable community. And Darwin always said, you adapt, you migrate, or you change. And we need to make some changes because otherwise what's going to happen is that we're going to die. I mean, it's going to become a community of old people that are stuck in their ways and not doing the things that we need to do in order to make this a viable place.
Craig, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, just a couple remarks. So I want to say, first of all, Bobby, thanks a lot for organizing this. You're doing a great job leading everything. And the comments and input from the public have been really useful. And so the thing I wanted to say about that is that please keep them coming. And the most useful input we get are the most specific ones. So, general, pontification of thoughts and feelings, okay, that's fine. But the useful ones for, to really help us plan are really specific comments, how things impact you, specific things you're worried about, specific proposals and why. And so that's one comment. And the other thing I wanted to say is that I'm personally pretty optimistic that we're going to come up with a good solution. Obviously, not everybody's going to be happy, but I think there's a general agreement in town that we like it. We like yachts, and we like the character. We're going to talk more about that. But the small is beautiful vibe, nature, all the things. A lot of them are in the comprehensive plan, and smallness goes with affordability. I mean, small homes are more affordable than big ones, and so there's a natural mesh there that I think we can make it work. We can make room for people in affordable ways without actually destroying the things we care about yachts. But we'll work on the details over the next N months while we're working on the code. That's all I wanted to say.
Wonderful. Thank you guys for participating along the way, each of the planning commissioners. And Catherine, you've been really helpful answering a lot of really good questions. You have a lot of facts about the code, present and future proposals. And just really appreciate your ability to answer questions on the spot and provide background as well. So today, the topic is community character, and community character has been brought up a few times in the conversations for Zoom so far, and community character is something that's different for everyone, and I'd like to lean into that a little bit. I'd like to spend today having each of us, representatives of the city here, planning commissioner staff, hearing from each and every person on this call. I'd like for everybody to speak up on this call and tell us what you think what your version of community character is. For me, community character is a lot of different things. Community character is about the connection to land and sea. It's the ocean breeze, preserving our forested ridgelines. It's our people. It's our shared commitment to one another, our volunteers, our neighbors, the local voices who care deeply about the stewardship of this town. It's eclectic and artistic. Yachats has never been a one-size-fits-all. And our character is defined by each and every person who's here. It's whimsical often, it's creative, and people love music and the freedom to be distinct and be fun. I think a lot of people like to have fun in Yachats. It also is a living harmony with change. To me, preserving character doesn't mean keeping the town just as it is forever. It means that we ensure that we grow and adapt in new ways. And when we add new layers, we still honor the creativity and natural serenity, and that we keep our welcoming spirit alive and uniquely Yachats. So that's me. That's my personal feeling of character of Yachats. And I know that every single person has a different character viewpoint of Yachats. And so I'd like to just have everybody go through and say what theirs is. Let's start with our next in line. I'm going to call on everybody and ask if everybody will give their thoughts on community character. This isn't for us to necessarily define for you. It's for you to define for yourself. So, Andy Fike, would you like to tell us what your community character vision is?
Oh, I don't think I can add anything to what you've already said, but I think you know, I've only been here around here for about a year, so I don't think I can add any too much to what's already been said. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Thanks for joining. Hey, Susie's iPad, would you like to say anything about what your version of community character is?
Sure, Bobby, can you hear me okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Excellent. So, all right, I'll do this as quick as I can just to give you a little history on myself because I've watched all of these, but I haven't participated yet. I kind of grew up on this stretch of the beach. I have a house on Aqua Vista Loop, so I'm one of the loopers. Um, my grandfather lived between Walport and Yachats in the 60s. So I've been on this stretch of beach since the 60s. So I've watched it change and grow and just and embraced everything along the way. I love this stretch of beach. What to me, what community character is all about, not only for the eclectic, wonderful people here, but it's about the unique views and the topography. You when you are southbound coming into town, the first thing you see is that gorgeous, uninterrupted lawn expanse of the adobe, and you can see the ocean behind it. And as you drive southbound, you can uninterruptedly see the ocean almost all the way through town. You look to the east and you see this almost uninterrupted forested hillside, which is gorgeous, and you see the gorgeous bluff to the south. And to me, that's what the town is all about.
Love that. Let's see. Next on my order of people attending is Craig Birdie. Would you like to tell us, Mayor, about your character, vision, or version of Yachats?
Yeah, for me, it's very much the people. And it's the volunteer spirit. It's the fact that people help each other out. When somebody has a need, there are people step up and help. Uh, and that's really the crux of it to me. Yeah, it's obviously beautiful. I love the weather. Uh, we just had relatives here from all over the world, and it was 100 degrees on the shore of France in Normandy, and we had guests here. It was 62 degrees. They loved it. Um, it but it's really the people. It's how we interact with each other. It's that we know each other and we take care of each other, and people step up and help. The beauty is one thing, but I've seen other beautiful cities that people turn their backs to one another. And I think that it's here where we embrace each other.
Thank you, Mayor. Next on my order of attendees, on with us right now is Morgan Brody. Would you like to share with us your view?
Are you able to hear?
Yes,
Can
we
you hear
are.
me?
Yes, yep. Hi, Morgan.
Okay, terrific. Well, a lot of ditto. I've been here for 13 years full time. Used to visit. I remember when I was getting ready to move here, I ran into Rod Smith out behind the Commons, and he said, "Well, if you're going to live here, you're going to have to volunteer for stuff." And Rod, not knowing me well, suggested the ladies' club, but I my niche in Miss Angie's school in YFAP. I love that when I went to get the mail this morning, I counted. I had 7 different conversations with people about housing, about what's going on in the community, who's doing well, who needs what, how people are feeling. That kind of community is indispensable to me, and it doesn't matter whether we agree or disagree about everything. I know the politics on my block range all over the place, and we're still neighbors and we support one another. And I know that people will come to help me and let me know if they need something. I just hate to see hate to see people not expecting the best of one another, because I think that's really what makes our community, that we can share information, we can see things differently and come to agreement about what works for us now and what works for the people who are coming, the people who work here, the people who would like to move here, the people who live here part-time. And in my neighborhood, doing the route this morning, we have cottages, we have, storage, railroad car storage in the backyard of somebody else's yard, and it's all fine. We're all fine. Nobody's dying from it. We all get along. We grow plants where we might not want to see what's right next to us, and it works. So I just love that sense of community and caring and coping and helping one another out, and want to hang on to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Morgan. Sue May, you're on my next order of attendees. Would you like to share your thoughts on community character?
You know something, Bobby? I really don't. I don't really like being put on the spot, and I really wasn't prepared to make a statement. Maybe later, or maybe
Okay.
not. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. The next I have in line is iPhone. Would I would iPhone like to share their thoughts on community character? Well, if iPhone wants to jump in, let us know with a raised hand. We're going to move on to Christine. Christine, are you interested in sharing your thoughts on community character?
I agree with what everybody said. I've been here over 30 years. I've seen a lot of change over the years. Some things I didn't agree with. A lot of things that everybody has said today, I agree with. It's a great place to live. My neighbors, a lot of them are like my family now because my family doesn't live here. And we have a lot of different ideas, politics, but we put all that aside, and this community is like family. We disagree with things, but we love each other. So anyway, that's my thoughts.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
Stacy Rosenberg, you're next on my attendees list. Do you want to share your thoughts on community character?
Yes. To me, I live on Aqua Vista Loop, and what's so important is the quiet, tranquil nature of my environment. So it's very quiet. You can wake up and hear the birds chirping. At night, you can see stars. You have a social fabric that's important throughout the city of Yachats and particularly in my neighborhood. And that is something that will get destroyed if you double or triple the density of my street. So when you're thinking of what is important to people, everyone has their own view and perspective of, what is important. But for a lot of us who are full-time residents, having that quiet, tranquil, one house per lot on small lots is important to us. And it matters on every moment of every day of having that quiet, tranquil, being able to hear the ocean, being able to say hi to your neighbors, and to not be overloaded with high-rise buildings all around you. So thank you. I'm done.
Thank you, Stacy. So next I have Lauren Dickinson on my list here of attendees. Would you like to share with us your thoughts on community character, Lauren?
Yeah, you can hear me okay, I assume. Yes.
Yep.
My wife and I were drawn originally in the 90s to coming here, and we would try and make it about every other year, and we'd bring our kids with us when the kids were old enough to enjoy it. I think we all really appreciate the physical beauty of this place. Like it was mentioned before, you see the mountains, you see the ocean, the fog rolling on the hills, the dogs playing in the water in the estuary. I mean, it's just a beautiful place to be. But like Craig, the thing that drew us perhaps the most is the volunteer nature of the community. And the saying goes that, well, they'll get you once, and once they get you, they'll know that you're going to be volunteering for other things. So the volunteer nature and all of the people that care about each other to us was a very important part of moving here. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you, Lauren. Next, I have Susan. Would you like to share what your thoughts on community character are?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me? Bobby, can you hear me?
Yes. Am
Oh,
I?
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So
Go ahead, Susan.
my perspective, the character of Yachats is retired residents and tourists. More than 12% of the housing units, 125, are licensed vacation rentals. The city and Chamber of Commerce market that and put a lot of money toward tourism. These vacation rentals are the homes that first-time buyers could afford, but they're off the market. Yachats has no school, no bank, no gas station, no hospital or clinic, no doctor, no vet, no laundromat. The retired residents can plan their day around avoiding the swarm of tourists and drive to other towns for those things. So when our focus is on tourists, like a trolley, a boardwalk, the food tax revenue, vacation rental licensing, related city service revenue, you're shaping the character of the city to stay this way. Tourists, the main focus, and the retired residents who ultimately fund the infrastructure as the remainder. So I think we have the housing units that middle income people can afford. It's just that they are given up as licensed vacation rentals. The city of Walport, which is twice the size of Yachats, has less than 50 vacation rentals, as I believe is true. So that's part of the problem.
Thanks for sharing that. Lauren Castellino, would you like to share with us your thoughts on community character?
Certainly. Thanks for the opportunity. And, I'm kind of delighted to be able to say that I, too, feel a ditto to almost everything that everyone has said. When I think of the character, the things that feel most important to me are, first of all, the human scale, which has to do a lot, I think, with how many one-story buildings there are and how walkable the downtown area is, and the fact that generally I'm not overwhelmed by relating with people when I'm out and about, and that makes it so that I actually want to relate to people. I am interested in them, I'm open to them, I am ready to be in support or to help. Whereas, like during tourist system, I notice a shift in my kind of way of relating to people, where people become sort of more obstacles to avoid rather than human beings to relate with. That's never really how I want to be in relationship with people, but I know from having lived in more dense places, and even just in the alternations of density of people in Yachats, that I close down more when there's more people. I close down more when a density of building and buildings that tower over my head and have, these kind of hard modern building materials that don't have the sort of cedar shingle, this has been a tree that was alive before, quality to them. So human scale, both in terms of building and in terms of just how many people are around, makes a big difference to me. And then not having the natural environment dominated by what is man-made and by the buildings that are everywhere. A natural environment that is more powerful and more present than the building structures makes all the difference in terms of relationship with the elements and what being in relationship with elements brings forth in terms of health, really on every level of body, mind, spirit, emotion, in my experience. And then, finally, I think it's really interesting what Sue said in terms of the character of the people, because I hear people's desire to make it more possible for more people of different economic levels and, demographics to live in Yachats. And I empathize with that. For those of you who may have seen my comments under the video that the city put out, I lived in Boulder, Colorado for 30 years. I worked full time. I had a partner who was working full time for 23 of those years. We were never able to buy in the city. It was that expensive. It was that impossible. So I really feel like I understand the experience of people who can't buy in the city and who have to rent and therefore have to move a lot. And I think the middle housing that's sort of being invited right now is basically going to wind up putting people in positions of renting rather than of being able to buy. So the instability continues, and meanwhile anything that can be bought will actually be caused to be more expensive through this code, as I understand it, going forward. So I think there's a lot to consider in this code, and I just truly hope that there's more time given to, in Cascadia Partners actually words, Cascadia, whatever their last name is, carefully calibrating the code so that it doesn't negatively impact the character of neighborhoods. They themselves say the code needs to be carefully calibrated. Okay, that's a lot. I'll stop here.
Thank you. Nicole Seals, you're next in line. My attendees, would you care to share your thoughts on character?
Is it me?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Bobby. September is going to mark 4 years for us. We officially moved here the day before I turned 50. We're a working family. We moved here from Portland. And it was after several years of visiting Yachats at different periods of time and at different times of the year. And it was the community and the whole vibe. So the structures, the restaurants, just everything. And if I'm being totally honest, me personally, it was the strong women that I saw bent over working in their yard or just being active within the community. It's been interesting living here because it was up until this, honestly, up when Dawn posted on Facebook, kind of that got me paying attention to, oh, what is this code? What is the city government? How can I be involved? Like, paying attention and noticing the division. And I'd like to say that everyone's been kumbaya about it, but my personal experience is I've lost a friend, a very good friend. She no longer speaks to me because I spoke out concerned about some of these things. And I'm not alone in this. And in feeling that because I want to just slow it down to understand more, to see it be done thoughtfully, that we're kind of iced out. Anyone that says anything, I see people being courageous and just poking back, asking questions, and they're just brutalized on Facebook. I can't even look at it anymore. So I want to get on board. I want to say, hey, this is great, and we're all getting along through this because we're neighbors regardless. But that's not been my experience. Now I know that it's not done. It's coming to a vote and all of these things, a vote by city council. But I wonder if there can be a way to put it to a people's vote. I don't want to say the referendum word, but I just, Bobby, I just want you to hear, I guess these last two things. I need to do more to be more involved, just involved in my community. And I've learned that through this experience. And two, there's got to be a way to welcome some of these dissenting voices back into the fold in a real way. And I don't, this is for a smarter person than me, but circling back to what brought me to Yachats is the people, and the people that in the community and the whole vibe seems to me like the type that can do this differently. And that, and you're doing a good thing by putting the Zooms out and stuff, but okay.
Yeah, I just want to speak to you real quick, Nicole, before we move on to the next one. I hear what you're saying, and that's like when I opened up with this, I would love for us to be able to disagree respectfully. I don't expect that everybody's going to be on the same page with this, and clearly we're not even here on this call today, but I think that we haven't been necessarily maybe throughout each of these Zoom sessions, but we've all shown up and we're all able to hear each other and have conversations and continue, seeing each other each of these Zoom sessions. And I hope that could be a good model for the rest of the community. I myself am staying off of the Facebook also. I don't agree with how that's being portrayed out. The only thing we can do is put things out on our city page. It has been, unfortunately, really sad to see the way that people are talking to each other on that both ways. And ultimately, I would really like for us to be able to agree. I disagree respectfully. Sue, I was going to send you this in a private message, but I'm just going to say it here on this call. Sue has sent some messages to the cities for correspondents to be in these meetings, and you've raised some questions and concerns in the Zooms. But I was saying to Catherine yesterday that I really respect the way that you disagree, because you're coming in with facts, you're bringing really thoughtful conversations, asking thoughtful questions, and I don't know, it's refreshing. I think we can have a good dialogue and also still like each other, care about each other at the end of the day. And I hope that that's how we're able to get through this whole process, because ultimately we don't know what this is going to end up being. Where we have what we have right now, but through these conversations, we will see where that goes with the Planning Commission and even City Council. We don't have a final draft. And to your question about the vote, maybe it would. I don't know. We don't have anything to vote on at this point. We have to go through all of the steps. We have to go through all of the processes. We have to have this conversation with the Planning Commission to see what they want to keep moving forward. What we have in front of us today could be very, very different from what ends up in front of council. And it's not until it ends up in front of council and they have something that they could say, we want to put this on the ballot. But they could have something that by the time it gets to there, a majority of people are feeling, okay, I think that kind of works for us. Maybe not everybody totally agrees, but maybe there's something that feels like there was something that was met in the middle. I don't know. We just don't know what it's going to end up being. So right. Just trying to speak to what you were saying there a little bit. I think you opened up my response there.
Yeah, Nicole. Sorry. No, I appreciate you saying that. And then I also appreciate what you just said about Sue, because I mean, she's a neighbor of mine and she's very direct. And I appreciate that about her, because you know where you stand, and she's also the first one to admit if she got something wrong. And I've seen her just kind of put information out as a community member, as someone just being informed and just kind of getting raked over the coals. And so I get a little, protective. And she's the first one to tell me when I'm, off base or whatever, to give it to me too. But anyway, so I appreciate you saying that, yes. Bobby, and framing it. And thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. And back into like the conversation of vote, like we just don't have anything right now in front of us to vote on yet. So we'll have to see what we have when it gets to City Council and see where everybody's, what the temperature in the room is. If the council feels, or the community feels, the council can take it from there, or if it's feeling like we need to go to a vote. I can't speak for any of that. It's in the future, and I don't know what the Planning Commission is going to recommend to City Council at this point, and none of us in this call do. So I'm going to keep moving on to community character. We have iPhone that looks like they took off their mute. Did you want to add to your thoughts on community character?
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't even know how to sign in on these meetings or raise my hand. This is Jan Hall. I live on Aqua Vista Loop. I've owned property here for about 5 years, built a house, and I moved here because of the ambiance and what's available here. I grew up in a tourist town in Southern California back in the 60s, and I loved it. And you're absolutely right. and beach towns, you get outpriced. I know that in my class of 73, there's only 3 people that still live in that town that can afford it. And that's not a lot. But they held a lot of their character there. They have a lot of code, like our height for the entire city, including hotels, is 36 feet. There's a lot of things that they've kept the characters. All the house I lived in that town are still standing. They weren't torn down to put up something bigger. And that's one aspect of it. But the other thing, Laguna has allowed for some growth. And I think that nobody's really talked about this, letting this town grow as it has for the past 20 years. And it will continue to grow. It's not going to not grow. People love it here and they will keep coming back. And if it changes in a significant way, people are not going to want to keep coming back here. That is my opinion. And I don't know if that would be true or not. But I am incredibly grateful that I live here. I am retired and I will plan on dying here. And I agree with everyone that says how special this city is. It's amazing to me. There you go.
Thank you, Jan. Appreciate your thoughts there. Betty Groth, I believe that's actually Dawn Groth there. Would you like to talk about your experience and community character visions for Yachats?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Betty and I bought our lot in 2004 and finally were able to build late 2006 or 7. So we've lived here since that, and I've participated on Public Works Commission and Finance and several other things. And we lived in big cities all during our marriage and everything, in St. Louis and Houston and Tulsa and Portland for a while. So one of the things was the natural area and the being by the ocean, and it was always amazing that we were here. And so we really enjoyed that, and we had looked a little bit along the coast before we decided on here. And and participating in all of the city government, got to meet a lot of people. So Betty died in December, but she died where she wanted to be. So I think that's all.
Thank you, Dawn. Let's see, who else? We haven't heard from Craig, Steve, or Mary yet on your visions of community. Steve, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, it looks like we've got a few minutes left. Amy and I started visiting Yachats back around 2013 for vacations, and we stay at the Overleaf and just fell in love with Yachats. We're from the Midwest, and 2015 bought our building lot and couldn't afford to build or get the money lined up until 4 years ago. And then COVID hit and we were delayed for another year. But in November, we will have been full-time residents here for 3 years. So we're short, newcomers, but still want to participate. And I volunteered for the Planning Commission last November and had attended the Cascadia Partners community presentation meeting. Gosh, it's been 2 years ago, I guess. And then again last November when they did their presentation of kind of the current housing improvement plan. Anyway, back then they were talking about keeping everything pretty low key and understanding the community doesn't want to change very much, and we agree wholeheartedly with that. We don't want it to change at all, frankly, but there are some small needs. The community. I think our town is smaller than a lot of people realize in terms of land area. We've only got a handful of vacant parcels for any kind of development, and more than likely the R3 and R4 needs to be developed with some units. Cottage clusters is a new idea. Cascadia a few years ago was talking about maybe ADUs and mixed housing, mixed commercial with residential, which is one of the optional items that we're looking at. But no, we've basically retired here and we love it here. And we go for walks and we love the beach and we make day trips to Walmart. That's a big deal for us. Some of our neighbors make day trips to Costco. It's a big deal for them. And we just love it here. And we intend to be here for good. So.
Thank you, Steve. How about you, Craig? Would you like to share?
Sure. So my wife and I moved here about 5 years ago. We have a son in Portland and a daughter in Corvallis, and a granddaughter there, and another one on the way. And so for us, it's a big deal. How these would go to visit our children. It's always a wonderful refuge to get out of the big city. Even Corvallis seems like a big city. I've never lived in a place as small as Yachats, and it's just wonderful. Not just because I'm old, but because it's just really nice. The air is wonderful, the water is wonderful. It's really quiet. It's dark at night. Surrounded by nature. I mean, these things that you don't get when you're alienated in a big city in a built environment all the time. So I'm really aware of the built environment. That's what we're trying to look after here. We want to do no harm. So there's a lot of stuff we don't want to happen, and I'm not shy. I'm gonna not be shy about not letting things happen. We're making a code here. There are codes about what you can and can't build. So that's pretty critical. We're going to think pretty carefully about, not letting things happen that are going to make it worse. But not with the goal of being exclusionary. One of the other great things about yachts is that it's not Aspen. It's not huge mansion place, and there's no boat ramps, no airports, all that stuff. And so let's keep it like that. And I think that all works. I mean, we can make all that work together and make room for people to live a little bit smaller and cheaper than most of the people in town are living now. Should be possible.
Thank you, Craig. How about you, Mary?
I've been listening really closely to all of the Zoom calls, read all the letters, as had all the commissioners done, and we're really interested in what you have to say. We're really interested in looking at research on all of the different aspects of this, what makes sense here, what doesn't make sense here, and we're trying to do what the Planning Commission is supposed to do, and that's look at the next 20 years and how things are going to go. Now, that doesn't mean that if we make a change now, there won't be additional changes or a change back in the future on different things, or a different way or a revision of doing things as we see change occur. But change is inevitable, and I think that doing it in an organized and careful fashion is the primary objective of the Planning Commission.
Yes, thank you so much for adding that, Mary. I think that was a good start to a close on this. Catherine, would you like to add something? We're at 3:54. Add something about your thoughts on character or a conclusion to the Zoom, and again, how people can continue on to learn more and stay in touch with what we're doing.
Well, some of this conversation has restored my faith in the character of Yachats. as many of us, I was drawn here just by the physical beauty. I didn't know a single person, and I thought I could live here happily for the rest of my life, even if nobody ever talks to me. Um, but it doesn't take too long to get sucked in by the people. When I moved here, it was half a lifetime ago, and it was aging hippies and loggers. So there were some pretty heated conversations about tree hugging versus tree killing. Back at what Mary referred to as the skid mark, we also called it the landfill. But somehow we could all like have these conversations, still get along. If you could have a heated conversation on a Friday night, have that same person have your back the next day, and I feel like that's kind of what's defined us for me all these years. I'm hearing a little hint of that today. So, um, good news. So as far as going forward, Bobby, I'll let you take that. We've got an action-packed week coming up for Planning Commission. We have a special work session on Monday at 2 p.m.
Yep.
Where there will not be a whole lot of opportunity for a back and forth dialogue, but great time to come and kind of hear what I think, as Bobby pointed out, will be the beginning of the conversation about what are the optional concepts that the Planning Commission wants to continue the conversation about? What are the ones that maybe they just want to scrap altogether? Just sort of looking for, are there some points where there's already consensus? So that should be interesting. And then a regular meeting on Tuesday. And I have no idea what Bobby has cooked up for us after that.
Always something fun, I'm
Yeah.
sure. I just kind of want to follow up there on what Catherine has said, and just say that I think today's conversation was a really great way to end these Zooms. And it goes back to what I said at the beginning of this call, is that we are all
The chicken's dead.
Oh, well, we just had a chicken die apparently. Okay, just a couple more minutes, okay? And then I'll help you with that. Okay. Life on a farm. I live in Walport, as we all know. I am not a resident, but I do care deeply about Yachats. My father did attend school at the Commons when it was still school. My grandfather was a volunteer firefighter for the Yachats Fire Department. My family's been in the area for generations. I've seen Yachats change, and I care about it as if I did live there. Yachats to me it's South County. Yachats and Walport are very, very connected, and always have been very connected to me. I think that today's conversation, like I was starting to say before we found out a chicken died, is that we all care about Yachats, and we heard that today. We know that not everybody on this call is thinking the exact same thing on where we're at or how we're feeling about the code work that we're doing or the draft proposal that we have in front of us. But I think we did see that we all very much care about Yachats, and we have different but similar views on what we think community character is, and how that brought us to Yachats, and how we all care about the future of Yachats. And really, to your statement, Nicole, I hope that we can all be friends through this. I want us to be able to respectfully agree, disagree, work through it, and still be able to have each other's back tomorrow, just like they did in the landfill days, landmark days. But we have a lot of work in front of us. Please continue the conversations. Where our doors are always open at City Hall. We're a phone call away. We're an email away. We will be having these public meetings. We want to still be your friends at the end of the day, I think, because I don't want to lose any friends, for sure. And I hope that everybody can be supportive of each other, and we can work through this together as a community. Anything else anybody wants to add there? Mary, Craig, Catherine?
Just want to say
Steve?
condolences to the Price family.
Thank you. we I think are about to go have a funeral. So on that note, everybody enjoy their weekend and a lovely Friday. And again, very much thank you to every single person who has participated on these calls. And we look forward to continuing the conversations. Happy weekend.